From the shaky introduction by the creator of Golfer's Mate to the bizarre pitch for a pointless invention like flow signals, here are Dragon's Den's most awkward moments. The beloved TV show's been on the air since 2005, and it's had its fair share of "did that really just happen?" moments. The pitch for Golfer's Mate by Dennis Fuller was one of those. He had a very weak start because of how nervous he was, and he stumbled over his words and repeatedly forgot his rehearsed pitch. It was a pretty confusing start that left the Dragons scratching their heads, but they looked past the awkwardness and evaluated the product itself, and it turned out to be super innovative and practical. The device helped golfers improve their swings by providing real-time feedback on them. Plus, its portable design made it super easy to use, and it was a very convenient tool for golfers of all levels. So the Dragons were invested despite his cringe-worthy opening, and James Caan was particularly impressed, offering him £100,000 for a 25% stake in the company after negotiations. To make the whole thing even crazier, tons of viewers of the show ended up really liking the invention. I mean, they'd never seen a product like this before, and they saw a lot of potential in it despite his terribly awkward opening. But it's important to remember that this was a miracle, and Mara Seaweed wasn't as lucky in getting an investment. Here's what went down. Fiona Houston pitched her business to the Dragons and marketed her seaweed product as a healthier alternative to regular salt. But even though her product had so much potential, Fiona's cluelessness regarding her own business left the Dragons shocked. At the start, she claimed that her company was worth £3 million, but that made no sense since she hadn't brought in any profit. To make matters worse, she also had trouble explaining gross profit to Peter Jones, who was clearly annoyed by her lack of understanding. The awkward silence after each question just made the episode even worse. But though it looked impossible, Tooker Suleiman actually made the duo an offer to give them all the cash in return for 50% of their business. But Fiona and Rory McPhee, aka Fiona's seaweed hunter, refused and left the den. You know what they say, know your numbers, know your business. And if there's one thing the Dragons can't stand, it's someone who doesn't understand their own stuff. And the creator of Shook, Jill Parkinson, didn't understand her product either. For those who don't know, Shook was a portable shower head holder that was created to solve the lack of fixed showers in hotels. That's a problem Jill believed travelers constantly came across. But the Dragons weren't sold just yet, because Jones pointed out that shower heads only exist in hotels without shower head holders, so that people can wash their hair while in the bath. This means that Jill was trying to solve a problem that didn't really exist, and the Dragons couldn't see a market for her product at all. As much as Jill believed in her product, she ultimately had to leave the den without the £120,000 investment she was hoping for. Shook proved that when a product's way too niche to appeal to a wider market, they never end up taking off. Speaking of products you probably never thought you needed, the pitch by James Dedden was just as bizarre. Exactly Limited, in the creator's own words, was a sort of a toaster for eggs. James believed that he'd come up with a way to boil an egg without any water, making it a low-cost and energy-efficient solution for cooking eggs. Thought that was crazy? Wait till you hear this. James claimed that making a hard-boiled egg was a tough job that took a lot of effort, but in reality, it's one of the easiest things someone could cook. What's even more embarrassing was that when he went on to demonstrate the device, it just didn't work. The Dragons were shocked when he took it out of the machine and cracked the egg open. It was completely raw. If you thought things couldn't get any worse, you better think again, because the second egg he put in his machine also came out raw. The viewers then heard a disappointed Peter say, "You've got to recover quickly from this, James." And it looked like the creator had insane luck, because despite all that, James was still able to negotiate with the Dragons and received 2 rival offers from 2 of them. After the episode, Exactly Limited received a European patent and over 10,000 pre-orders online by the end of 2009, and believe it or not, it's still a fully operational company today. Despite the horribly awkward pitch, James was still able to recover and find success. But that's not what happened for Marco Hajipri, the founder of ProGains, who made the fatal mistake of being rude to the Dragons in his pitch. Even though he had a very promising product, He quickly made a name as one of the most arrogant people ever to enter the den. Let me break down what happened for you. Marco opened his pitch by introducing his nutritional meal delivery service to the Dragons, and he had everyone's attention, but everything went south pretty quick. For starters, Marco had a trademark issue with his company's name, and he failed to bring that up during his pitch. The Dragons seriously grilled him for it, because he only had a trademark application that had been accepted. Marco eventually came clean and said that he hadn't even read the document in the first place. To make things worse, he interrupted one of the Dragons mid-question, leading to a tense silence in the room. The Dragons weren't too happy with Marco's attitude, and because of that, he had to leave without any investment. Years after the episode aired, people found out that Marco rejected an astonishing £90 million offer for his company, which he claimed was worth over £1 billion. But things never took off, and he even had to sell his house and car just to keep the business running. In the end, it was obvious that Progains failed to live up to its potential. The Dragons were a hard bunch to please, and Evolution Solutions quickly got a taste of that too. When the two ladies pitched their women-focused construction business on Dragon's Den, things went downhill fast. Now, even though their product wasn't too shabby, they made the horrible mistake of accusing one of the Dragons of being sexist when he questioned them about their equity calculations. That's a big no-no in the business world, and Theo, the Dragon who was being accused, didn't find it funny at all. And neither did the other Dragons, who quickly rushed to his defense and called out the ladies for their awful attitude. The two left without getting any help from the furious Dragons, and viewers of the show agreed with them. Many took to the internet to talk about how cringy they found the entire pitch, especially when the two women were being sexist themselves by saying things like, "People trust women more in their houses than they do men." Jeez. Fans advised the women to ditch the hypocrisy if they wanted to save whatever remained of the business. But no piece of advice could save Flow Signals and its creator's terrible pitch in Season 1. To put it simply, the product was absolutely useless. Or at least that's what the Dragons thought when Derek Cousins pitched his flashing LED no-entry sign invention. They tore it to shreds, and at one point even thought the creator was playing a prank. Despite his repeated claims that people often miss the signs, Derek just couldn't provide any evidence to back up his idea. The Dragons advised him to let the product go and not invest any more money in it. The whole interaction was super bizarre, and awkward silences made it 1,000,000 times worse to watch. As expected, Flow Signals was rejected and never found any success in the business world. So if you're thinking of inventing something new, make sure you've done your homework first. And maybe, just maybe, leave the no entry signs alone. So there you have it. From the bizarre pitch for a pointless invention like Flow Signals to the shaky introduction by the creator of Golfer's Mate, those were Dragon's Den's most awkward moments.